The awkward moment your crush finds the shrine and scrapbook you made of them. Hey, it's Em, and I did just finish reading Heaven Official's Blessing, Volume 6. Spoilers lie ahead. I have very complicated feelings about this book. So if you want to skip ahead to my general overall feelings, I will leave a timestamp in the description. We pick this up where Shilian and Huacheng are in a cavern in, I think it might be Mount Tonglu, but it's a mountain in any case. And it's a labyrinth of caverns with just all these statues, and they're all draped in like veils. They're all basically covered. Shilian says it's a cave of 10,000 gods, which I guess is some kind of religious place and practice in which somebody fills caves with statues of gods. And he wants, of course, to look and see who these statues depict, who the cave is dedicated to. Huacheng is like, no, I wouldn't. You don't know what kind of evil spirits might be under the veils. Something about the power, the spiritual power being in the head, and if you unmask the statues, something bad could happen. Shilian also notices that Huacheng seems to know his way around this network of caves. And Huacheng is like, oh, no, it doesn't matter which way we choose because neither of us know. So he brushes it off, basically. Then they finally find Feng Shen and Muqing, and I don't want to say hilarity ensues because it's not quite that. Awkward discomfort ensues, I guess. It's pretty clear. It's pretty well telegraphed what's going on here. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone to discover that these caves are Huacheng's work. He has made thousands of statues of Shilian, and he's trying to keep anyone from discovering that. At one point, Feng Shen and Muqing are convinced that there's something not right about Huacheng, which isn't a far leap for them anyway, because they already don't like him. He's a ghost king. He's not to be trusted, obviously. So they separate Shilian from Huacheng and are like, they put boulders in the way, and they're dragging Shilian, through the caves, even though Shilian's like, I don't want to leave my friend. And they discover murals also of Shilian, all the events that we've seen in previous volumes. And putting it all together, my personal suspicions were confirmed in that, all of these characters, the boy that Shilian saved in the parade, and different characters throughout the flashbacks of history have all been Huacheng, right? Which, again, we kind of knew. I mean, you can put it all together if you do even just a little work. So we all kind of have known, I think, that Huacheng has this crush on on Shilian, and Shilian's starting to have feelings. He's very upset when Feng Shen and Muqing force him to run away, and also they paralyze him so he can't voice his preference when things happen, so it looks potentially like he wants Huacheng to go away. I feel like there's a little bit of a misstep here in that Hua Cheng, like, would recognize that magic was at play. I mean, he's pretty capable of understanding when someone is under the influence of magic, and we see that later in the book when we get into flashbacks again. But maybe he's so upset about having been outed, so to speak, that he's not tuned in as much as he might normally be. I don't know. This all eventually comes down to Mu Qing and Feng Shen being sent away to get out of the mountain. White No-Face shows up and is causing all kinds of trouble. If you remember, he's the one who has the mask that's half smiling, half crying, and he wears the white funerary robe type thing. He is, I guess, a ghost. I don't know that he's a supreme, but he's some kind of... He's a problem, is what he is. And he is the chief problem throughout the rest of this book, because by the end of this part, Xi Lian is trapped in the ghost kiln with White No-Face. The kiln, if you remember, is where the next supreme ghost king is going to be forged, so to speak. Xi Lian's either going to end up a ghost king or he's going to end up dead. I don't know. And then, just as that happens, we jump back in time to the early days of Xi Lian's first fall from grace. He's, scrounging around, trying to make money. He's got Feng Shen and Mu Qing with him. His parents are hidden away in a forest, because if the new king and his guards find them, they'll certainly be executed or something, I suppose. At the very least, humiliated, and, losing face is a real problem. So even Xi Lian is walking around with his face wrapped in a white, kind of ribbon, to hide his actual identity. Mu Qing eventually asks permission to leave because he can't take it anymore. What we see basically is the most human version of Xi Lian that we've seen thus far in the series, where he is frustrated and he's in despair, and his usual just cheerfulness is being eroded, and he's getting angry, and he actually at one point attempts to rob a person, even though that goes against everything he stands for and his pride and whatnot. So, and White No-Face keeps turning up and, egging him on, and we find out Mu Qing, when he left, became a heavenly official again, and of course Xi Lian is angry, even though Mu Qing feels bad and tries to make amends at different, there's a lot of emotion here, and there's some truly horrific stuff going on. There's a point where White No-Face sets Xi Lian up to be stabbed like hundreds of times, and he can't die, but he can still bleed and feel pain, so that kind of sucked. And it's clear, I think, that White No-Face is attempting to get Xi Lian to come to the dark side, for lack of a better way to phrase it, to give in to all those darker emotions, to get revenge and things. And Xi Lian goes down that path to an extent, and then, redeems himself, and we end with the Xi Lian that we know better, and the one that we kind of meet at the very beginning of the series. He's alone in the world. He's been, sent back down for the second time, and he's just, making do, and trying to do his best. So I guess I gave this 4.4, which is probably the lowest I've given any of these. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, and it's not, I think it's just because I have such complicated feelings about all of it. I think this volume does a lot more emotionally than previous volumes. It's carrying a lot of weight, and I didn't dislike that, but, you know, it got very dark. I will say I do love this cover art. This is probably, I mean, all of the art is gorgeous, but this might be my favorite thus far of all of the cover art. This moment in the book is a really lovely one. So I think I really like Ching's expression here. You know, again, as with my last two book reviews, I'm like, I may revise my feelings about this in time. I mean, it's really well done, but I didn't enjoy it as much. And I don't think I'm meant to, right? But, oh, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. So, yeah, that is volume 6. I am not going to jump straight into volume 7. I need a little break from that. I don't know yet what I'm going to read next. I could do The Impossible Fortune. I've been talking about that. I've got a couple other, more than a couple. I've got several other books stacked around. And I will just figure out what I need to cleanse my palate a little bit from this. It is really good. It's just it's a lot. It's a lot. It's heavy. It's heavy. It's dark. So, yeah. If you've read it, let me know your thoughts. No spoilers for the last two books, please. I did write a Substack about how much I enjoy this series. I will, if I remember, leave a link to that in the description too. My Substack is free to subscribe to. I write about books, writing, and related things if you're interested in that kind of thing. And yeah, until next time, until I figure out what I'm going to read next, take care.